If you've ever dreamt of Baja California Sur, I mean, who hasn't? The sun, that incredible coastline, all the amazing adventures, you get the allure. But for the foreign entrepreneurs who have literally built their lives there, the ones leading those epic motorcycle tours through the desert or teaching kite surfing on those turquoise waters, well, the ground beneath their feet is starting to shake. A totally new era is dawning, and the old unwritten rules, they just don't apply anymore. So let's dive into what this really means for the future of doing business in Baja.
And this quote right here, it's basically a declaration of war on the old way of doing things. The Wild West is officially over. Starting in 2026, the days of operating in the shadows, kind of flying under the radar, they're numbered. Local and federal authorities are sending out a crystal clear message. It is time to play by the rules, or you're out of the game, period.
So, what does this active enforcement actually look like on the ground? Well, it's a complete 180-degree turn from the old, hands-off approach. Think coordinated raids, think multi-agency task forces, think a zero-tolerance policy for any illegal operations. This isn't just a small change. This is a top-to-bottom overhaul of how business is done in Baja. But you might be asking, why the big crackdown all of a sudden? Well, for years, this kind of shadow economy of unpermitted foreign businesses has absolutely flourished in Baja. But this underground market, it's come at a pretty steep cost, creating a whole host of problems that have finally reached a boiling point. At the very heart of this issue is the slow erosion of the local culture. When unpermitted foreign businesses just pop up, they often end up displacing Mexican workers and undercutting the legitimate local businesses that have been there for generations. And this hits the ejidos the hardest. These are communally owned lands that are truly the lifeblood of so many local communities. And we're not just talking about landowners here. These folks are the custodians of the region's entire cultural heritage. Public safety is another huge concern. A lot of these illegal businesses are just cutting corners left and right. They don't have the required safety certifications, they don't have insurance, and they're operating with absolutely no oversight. And here's the really scary part, especially for their customers. If you get hurt on one of those illegal quad tours, guess what? You're on your own. And for the operators themselves, the consequences can be even more severe. We're talking massive lawsuits, even having your property seized. And then, of course, there's the damage to the environment. I mean, those unregulated off-road tours are literally scarring the fragile desert landscape. Unlicensed boats are polluting the pristine waters of the Cerralvo Channel. These illegal operators are threatening the very beauty that draws people to Baja in the first place, putting the region's incredibly delicate ecosystem at serious risk.
So, the authorities are really focusing their efforts on the biggest offenders. Tour and sports companies, they're right at the top of the list. Immigration and port authorities are now sharing information to catch illegal operators running everything from those quad bike excursions to kite surfing schools. Pop-up restaurants and even home service providers are also being targeted. Basically, if you're running a business in one of these areas without the right paperwork, you are definitely on their radar.
Okay, so how do you stay on the right side of the law in this completely new era? The government has laid out a really clear set of rules that every single business must now follow. Let's break them down. First up, and this one's a biggie, hiring. The government is seriously cracking down on businesses that rely mostly on foreign workers. The new law is super simple. At least 90% of your employees must be Mexican citizens. And no, there are no exceptions. This is a direct move to protect local jobs and make sure that the economic benefits of all this tourism actually stay within the community. Next, let's talk about working hours. The 40-hour work week is now the absolute law of the land. And don't even think about trying to fudge the numbers on this. The government is requiring all businesses to use electronic time tracking systems. And yeah, they can audit you at any time. And protecting the environment, it's no longer optional, it's the law. For boat tour operators, this means mandatory GPS tracking on all vessels and super strict adherence to the Orca Management Plan, which sets clear limits on how close you can get to these incredible creatures. But the responsibility doesn't just end at the shoreline. All businesses are now expected to be active participants in conservation, from submitting daily wildlife logs to following a strict leave-no-trace policy out in the desert. Okay, I know with all these new regulations, you might be feeling a little overwhelmed. But don't worry, the government has actually created two very clear paths for foreign entrepreneurs who genuinely want to do business the right way. The path you choose is really going to depend on the size and scope of your business. If you're planning to hire a team, you'll need to go the entrepreneurial route. But if you're more of a one-person show, the personal pathway is for you. No matter which path you take, though, the destination is exactly the same, a fully legal, totally compliant business. All right, so you've decided to take the plunge and start a legit business in Baja. Here's what you need to do. First, make it official by incorporating your company. Then, get right with the tax man. That means registering with the SAT. Next, get your employer's certificate from immigration so you can legally start building your team. And finally, make sure all your employees are covered by registering them with Social Security. Yeah, it's a lot of paperwork, but it's the only way to do business in the new Baja. And now for the part I'm sure you all been waiting for. What happens if you get caught? Let's just say the consequences are severe, and they're absolutely designed to send a very, very clear message. If you're caught operating illegally, you should expect the hammer to fall, and fall hard. The penalties are basically designed to be a one-way ticket out of Baja for good. The consequences are both swift and severe. First, you'll be immediately banned from doing any business on all Ejido's land. Then come the fines, and believe me, they are not small. After that, you're looking at detention, deportation, and a multi-year ban from even re-entering Mexico. And in the most serious cases, the government can and will seize your assets and your property. And it actually gets worse. The government is keeping a list, and it's a list you really do not want to be on. The Registry of Identified Offenders is a database of everyone who's been caught operating illegally, complete with photos, a rap sheet of your illegal activities, and even your home address back in your home country. And here's the real kicker. That registry isn't just for local use. Oh no. The data is shared with immigration authorities and consulates all over the world. So if you get caught in Baja, you could be looking at a permanent travel ban. Your passport will be flagged, and you'll basically be persona non grata in Mexico for the rest of your life. Getting a new passport won't change a thing. You see, in the new Baja, there are no shades of gray anymore. You're either in or you're out. You're either playing by the rules and are totally legal, or you're gone. The choice is yours to make. So, how do you avoid erasing those red flags with the inspectors? Well, the obvious stuff, like following that 90% hiring rule and having your work permit in order, that's a given. But here's a little pro tip. Know the local culture. Using the wrong name for a place, like calling Ensenada de Muertos by its old developer name, Valle de los Sueños, is a dead giveaway that you're an outsider who doesn't respect the local traditions. And in the new Baja, that's a one-way ticket to trouble. And you know, it's not just the government you have to worry about. The local community is also taking a stand. They've set up their own disciplinary system, and they are not afraid to use it. If you break the rules, you could be looking at anything from a hefty, mandatory donation to the community fund, all the way to a permanent ban from the entire area. This quote really says it all, doesn't it? Coming to Baja and being part of this incredible place is a privilege. It's not a right, and the price of admission is pretty simple. Respect the law, respect the culture, and respect the community. The Wild West is dead. A new Baja is rising from the dust. And the only question left is, are you going to be a part of it? The choice is crystal clear.